The morning of my birthday started just like any other. The air outside was crisp, the kind of late spring chill that always made me want to stay tucked inside the warmth of the blankets a little longer. But I knew better than to waste the morning. Birthdays in my house had always been special, even when times were lean. Growing up, my mother never let a birthday pass without at least a cake, even if it was a simple one made from scratch. That tradition carried into my own home. I'm Rebecca Johnson, 42 years old today. My son, Ethan, was turning 16 in a few months, and my life had, in many ways, revolved around him ever since I first held him in my arms. His father, Mark, and I had parted ways when Ethan was only 8. We tried, to keep our marriage afloat, but some things simply weren't meant to last. Ethan had always been the glue between us, the one thing we both agreed on fully. But when the marriage unraveled, he chose to live with me most of the time, visiting his dad on weekends. Birthdays since then had become quieter. I usually baked my own cake, picked up takeout, and celebrated with Ethan in our small but cozy home in Ohio. Yet this year felt a little different. For weeks, Ethan had been sneaky, whispering on phone calls, scribbling in a notebook, and sometimes closing his bedroom door quickly when I walked by. I had laughed it off, telling myself, he's probably planning something silly. But a small part of me wondered if he was preparing something more. That morning, I woke to the sound of the coffee machine sputtering in the kitchen. It was unusual because Ethan rarely touched the coffee maker. He claimed the smell was too strong for him. I walked in, hair messy, still wearing my old flannel pajamas, and found him standing there in his gray hoodie, pouring coffee into my favorite mug. His grin was sheepish, but his eyes held an excitement I hadn't seen in a while. "Happy birthday, Mom," he said, sliding the mug across the counter like a waiter. "Thank you, honey," I said, touched by the effort. I leaned down and kissed the top of his head, realizing how tall he'd grown. He was already eye level with me, maybe taller when he stood straight. He sat down across from me and pushed a plate with toast and scrambled eggs toward me. The eggs were a little too runny, but my heart melted anyway. "Wow," I teased. "Gourmet breakfast from Chef Ethan?" He laughed. "Don't get used to it. This is a birthday-only deal." I chuckled and took a bite, appreciating the effort more than the flavor. For a few minutes, we sat in companionable silence, sipping coffee and juice. It was the kind of moment mothers secretly treasure. The stillness, the small kindnesses, the feeling that your child sees you, really sees you. After breakfast, I started to clear the table, but Ethan jumped up quickly. No, don't. Just go sit in the living room. I've got this." I raised an eyebrow but obeyed, settling onto the couch. I heard the clattering of plates in the kitchen, followed by hurried footsteps running upstairs. A few minutes later, he returned, holding a small wrapped box. His hands trembled slightly as he set it on the coffee table in front of me. "Happy birthday, Mom," he said again, his voice quieter this time. I worked really hard on this. And I want you to know, it's important." I looked at the box, neatly wrapped in blue paper with a silver bow. It wasn't very big, about the size of a book, but something about the way he held himself made me hesitate. My son wasn't usually sentimental with gifts. In past years, he'd given me funny cards, little trinkets from the dollar store, or sometimes just promised to do chores without me asking. But this felt different. "Do you want me to open it now?" I asked carefully. His eyes darted away. "Yeah, but just promise you'll listen to what I say after, okay?" I swallowed hard, suddenly nervous. "Of course." I peeled away the wrapping paper, my fingers trembling slightly. Inside was a simple wooden box, smooth to the touch, clearly handmade. I lifted the lid, expecting maybe jewelry or a small keepsake. Instead, I found a stack of letters tied together with string, along with a folded piece of paper that looked newer. My heart skipped. "Ethan, what is this?" He shifted in his seat. "Just read the one on top first." I untied the bundle and opened the newer sheet. The handwriting was neat, his handwriting. "Mom, I know this might be hard for you, but I wanted to give you something more than just a gift. I wanted to give you memories. These letters, they're from Dad. He's been writing them for years, but he never gave them to you. I found them at his house a few months ago. I thought you deserved to see them." I froze. My chest tightened as I glanced at the bundle again. Letters. From Mark. My ex-husband. The man I had loved deeply. The man who had broken my heart. "Ethan," my voice cracked. "Where, how?" "I was in the garage at Dad's one weekend," Ethan explained, his voice rushed now, as if afraid I'd stop him. "I was looking for a basketball, and I found this old box. I asked him about it, and he said they were letters he never mailed. He didn't stop me from taking them, but he also didn't want to talk about it. I thought maybe you should read them, even if it hurts. Because I think he still loves you, Mom. Tears welled in my eyes before I even realized it. My hands trembled as I picked up the first letter. The date on the envelope was from nearly 7 years ago, not long after our divorce. With shaking breath, I unfolded it. Mark's familiar handwriting stared back at me, words bleeding with regret, longing, and the kind of honesty we'd never managed to share when we were together. As I read, my vision blurred. He wrote about missing our family dinners, about hearing Ethan laugh and wishing I were there too. He wrote about his mistakes, his stubbornness, and how he wished he could undo the fights. Each word was a knife and a bomb at the same time. Ethan sat silently beside me, watching, waiting. Letter after letter revealed a man I thought I no longer knew, vulnerable, regretful, still holding love in his heart. By the time I reached the most recent one, dated just 2 months ago, I could barely breathe. In it, Mark admitted he had never stopped loving me. He wrote about how proud he was of Ethan, how grateful he was for the life we had once shared, and how he hoped someday I might forgive him. Not to rekindle necessarily, but simply to heal. I set the papers down, tears streaming freely now. My son placed a tentative hand on mine. "Mom," he whispered, "I didn't mean to make you sad. I thought maybe this could be your real gift. The truth. The chance to. I don't know to decide what to do with it." I pulled him into my arms, holding him tightly. "Oh, Ethan, you have no idea what this means to me." The rest of that day blurred into a haze of emotions. We ate cake together, laughed at old movies, but in the quiet moments, my mind kept circling back to those letters. My birthday gift wasn't something shiny or simple. It was the weight of 7 years of unspoken words, of love buried under pride and pain. And as I sat on the couch that night, Ethan asleep upstairs, I held the letters against my chest and whispered into the silence. Maybe I wasn't ready to open this, but maybe I needed it more than anything.